Are you somebody who gets angry about nepotism in Bollywood? Do you get really upset when stars behave badly? Do you like it when movie stars are relatable and sweet and, well, sanskari? Then you're the reason why we'll never see a true blue diva like Kareena Kapoor Khan in Bollywood again. It's simply not possible. We might get stars and great beauties, but we'll never see a diva again. And make no mistake, Kareena is a diva, the last of the Bollywood divas. Hi, my name is Amrita. I co host Khandana Bollywood podcast with my good friends Asim and Sujoy. And today we are taking a deep dive into the life and times of the last great Bollywood diva, Kareena Kapoor Khan. Let's begin with what we mean by a diva. There's the dictionary definition, of course, which is a self important person who is difficult to please. And then there's the way it's thrown around like confetti by the Bollywood press and fans alike, when all they mean to say is, here's an actress I like wearing a pretty outfit. But just because someone is pretty and famous, it doesn't mean they're a diva. To quote Beyonce, a diva is a female version of a hustler. A diva is a person who commands the attention of the room, any room they happen to be in. The moment you enter their sphere of influence, be it on screen or off screen, you can't look away. They are dazzling and unique. And truth be told, they're a little bit of a bitch, but you love them anyway. That last part is particularly important. You have to love them in spite of their flaws, not because they're perfection personified. If they're a good, kind, loving person who are uniformly wonderful to their fans, they're not a diva. A diva is a fickle goddess who smiles upon you one instant and flays you alive the next. And under no circumstances ever is she approachable or just like us. The whole point of being a diva is that she is emphatically not like us, would never dream of being like us, is offended that we would even expect that of her. And as her faithful audience, we recognize that and are grateful to be looked down upon. I kid, but not entirely. Let me take you through the marvel that is Kareena. When Kareena Kapoor arrived on the scene in the year 2000, she came carrying a storied mantle. The saying went that the Kapoor women did not act in films, but her elder sister, Karisma Kapoor, had gone against that tradition with her very successful career. Charisma, by the way, is the definition of someone who isn't a diva. She had debuted in 1991 with Prem Kaidi, a teeny bopper escapee from the 1980s, with a hero that people only remember today as that guy who acted opposite Charisma in her debut. From time to time, she would be splashed across magazines for things like her acrimonious breakup with Ajay Devgan, her famous rivalry with Ravina Tandon, etc., but her main focus was on her career. She was perhaps the most hardworking heroine of her generation. She appeared in multiple movies through the year and was known for her dance moves, which got her compliments from Shamak Davar, who even compared her favorably to Madhuri Dixit when he choreographed them both for Dil To Pagal Hai. She really worked in the trenches, starring opposite the much older Govinda in a series of comedy hits where she appeared in songs that were the very opposite of demure and even faced legal action for chartbusters like Sexy 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 Mujhe Log Bole, which had to be rechristened as Baby 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 Mujhe Log Bole. Were we to look at her filmography today, it looks like a lot of forgettable stuff, but they were paying gigs that allowed her to support her mother and her sister in a style they were then not accustomed to. On the other hand, when Kareena made her debut 9 years later, she appeared opposite the young prince of Bollywood, Abhishek Bachchan. This was a proper cinematic event. The son of the Amitabh and the Jaya Bachchan and the granddaughter of the Raj Kapoor coming together in a movie directed by J.P. Datta. Back then, of course, people celebrated nepotism instead of apologizing badly and profusely for it. Famously, Kareena was first approached to debut opposite Hrithik Roshan in Kaho Na Pyar Hai by her father's good friend and Hrithik's dad, Rakesh Roshan, but she pulled out in favor of Refugee because Bollywood was betting big on Abhishek at the time. We all know how that eventually turned out. Refugee was a critical damp squib and a commercial dud, while Kaho Na Pyar Hai was an all-time blockbuster, and Hrithik was an instant sensation. In typical diva fashion, however, Kareena somehow turned this sequence of events into everyone else's problem, even though she was the one who had made the decisions. Amisha Patel, who replaced her in Kaho Na Pyar Hai, has not known a moment of peace since, to the point that when she made her comeback 20 years later with Gadar 2, this ancient history was one of Amisha's main talking points. And you can see why she felt that way. Despite Amisha and Hrithik debuting together in a sensational blockbuster, Kareena somehow maneuvered herself into the position of being a quote legendary pair with Hrithik. That they have this reputation is especially hilarious when you go through their filmography as a pair. There was the horrendous Yadein by Subhash Ghai, the cringe Main Prem Ki Diwani Hoon by Suraj Barjatia, and the flop Mujhse Dosti Karoge by Kunal Kohli. The one successful movie they made together was Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum with Karan Johar, and they were playing the second leads in that. All of these were giant releases helmed by celebrated directors who had absolutely bought into the Kareena Hrithik hype. Meanwhile, Amisha was making B movies with Bobby Deol and Akshay Khanna. Let's be honest, I'd be a little angry too in Amisha's shoes. But the public didn't care. Kareena was star material from the get go, and she had that trick of lighting up the screen with her mere presence. There are entire scenes in movies where the action is centered around other characters and she is simply in the background, but your eye keeps straying again and again to her because she has that it factor that no amount of money or training or dedication to the craft can impart to an actor. Kareena was also rare for her generation in that she broke from the standard actress narrative of fame and fortune and an acting career simply happening to her. The women who work in Bollywood today, Katrina, Deepika, Alia, etc., make no bones about the effort and hard work they put into achieving their careers. They wanted to be Bollywood stars and they worked to achieve it. However, as recently as just a couple of decades ago, it was still fashionable for actresses to pretend that they fell into fame and fortune by accident. It's not even a Bollywood specific thing. It's an international narrative that comes from a complex mix of factors like the film industry not being an entirely respectable place to work, and our earliest female movie stars being closely related to the Tawayef tradition, and therefore subsequent generations of women needing to perform respectability. We're not like those women. We're women from good families who would never have thought of acting in movies, but we were just so beautiful that a wandering producer or director saw us from a distance and insisted that we work in their film. For instance, to this day, when an outsider joins the film industry, a core part of their introductory PR is about their respectable background, their educational qualifications, the status of their family, etc. Look at Kriti Sanan, Tara Sutaria, Sharvari Wagh, and so on. Sai Pallavi barely ever has a write up that doesn't mention that she's a doctor. Even people from the film industry like Kajol and Twinkle Khanna and Raveena Tandon talk about how they made their first movies as a lark or as something that they tried out in their spare time for pocket money. Kareena was the first big star who came on the scene and stated that she joined Bollywood because she was destined to be a star. No apologies, no false modesty, no pretense that this was something she was reluctant to do. She was born ready and she knew it and she wanted you to know it too. To be fair, there was an attempt early on to tread the path well tested by actresses before her, like when she said she had graduated from Harvard University and it turned out that she had attended a summer program after high school. But by and large, she came on the scene as a full fledged star, and she's never taken a step back since. And a big part of the Kareena myth has to do with some key roles she played fairly early on in her career. First was Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, where she essayed the role of Pooh, a millennial icon. Pooh dressed as she pleased, she moved up the social ladder with ease. She was the ultimate it girl at her college, and she got the man she wanted, even though he had begun by being a hater. There is not a single actress of her generation who could have played Pooh the way Kareena played her. She was bitchy and rude and dismissive, and hot and desirable and family oriented. For a brief moment in time, she was all of India's anxieties and aspirations rolled into one. She was Western, she was Indian, she was modern, she was sanskari. Little wonder that subsequent generations of Indian actresses have frequently expressed that she, and specifically that performance, was their inspiration. Kareena also refused to fall into the trap that previous generations of actresses had fallen into when they decided to perform women oriented roles. Not for Kareena, the drab handloom saris, the lack of makeup, the cycle of domestic violence as a means to interrogate women's role in society. When she did Chameli, she was incandescent on screen. The greasy hair, the rolled up sari, the rain dance. It was a woman oriented film, all right, and it definitely interrogated women's pain, but it was also a celebration of Kareena as a star. What followed next were movies with Govind Nihalani and Vishal Bharadwaj, which firmly established her reputation not just as a commercial or mainstream Bollywood actress, but as someone who could seriously act when provided the opportunity. And so, just 7 years into her career, she appeared as Geet in Jab We Met. Kareena's acted opposite all three of the Khans in not just blockbusters but industry hits. She's had the compliment of filming a song named after her and has even become a TikTok trend around the world of one song from Ahsoka. But if there's one performance that colored all of Indian pop culture's view of her, it was Geet. Geet was the nation's darling. She was funny, she said iconic dialogues that became the entire personality of large sections of Indian women. She was instantly relatable to millions of young women who had gone through a similar journey of negotiating with their conservative families in order to attain their dreams, and the happily ever after with a billionaire added just that soupçon of wish fulfillment that instantly elevated Geet to every girl's fantasy. More importantly, Geet was a fashion icon. Kareena's never quite been a fashion girly. That is a Bollywood genre mostly invented by Sonam Kapoor, who debuted quite a few years after she did. But with that face and that attitude, she was most definitely one of the Bollywood actresses who inspired audiences to shop movie specific looks, which is a compliment usually reserved for Bansali heroines like Aishwarya Rai from Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam. Like Ravina with her yellow sari or Kajol with her green lehenga, who can forget that peach outfit from Bole Kangana Bole Churiyan with their symmetrical borders, or the bright red of the Bollywood medley from Mujhse Dosti Karoge? But Geet, with her little kurtis, her Indian fusion look, her Patiala salwars, was a rage. Every girl in her teens and 20s wanted the look. Everyone on Indian TV wore that exact style for years. It might have been the last hurrah for a popular takeover by a Bollywood look, given that subsequent crazes like Deepika's Indo Western outfits from Love Aajkal or Alia's breezy saris in Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani weren't anywhere near as influential in pop culture. And then Kareena decided that relatability was for peasants and kickstarted what became known as the size zero craze in Bollywood. Tashan might be long forgotten as a movie, but Adi Chopra's vision for Kareena in a Lara Croft outfit continues to live on as something that has set the standard for Bollywood actresses, much to the cost of many. While Kareena has always maintained that she reached that figure through diet and exercise over the course of 18 months or so, it is inarguable that those washboard abs set the conversation for an entire generation on and off screen. Which was when Kareena, in true diva fashion, turned around and proved it wasn't the size of her clothes that made her so watchable on screen. Throughout the 2010s, Kareena would show up on screen either fully covered up in movies like Three Idiots or with a distinctly non size zero figure in movies like The Bung 2. It was as though she'd hit a plateau with her career and was just steadily working through it. But if her professional life was mostly drama free in her second decade in the film industry, her personal life was about to hit the headlines in a very unpleasant way. Kareena has never been a stranger to controversy. There were rumors about her relationship with Hrithik Roshan, which famously ended with his marriage to another woman, and her telling a publication apropos nothing that she, quote, hated men who can't stand up for the women they love. Which is a crazy thing to say when you were the side piece to all intents and purposes. She was also incredibly volatile with her female peers. There were some with whom she had clearly developed a relationship of love and respect, such as Kajol, the Arora sisters, and the Kapoor sisters. But for the most part, Kareena couldn't stand the female competition, and she didn't bother to hide it. She fought bitterly with Aishwarya Rai and Preeti Zinta over roles she passed over, but inexplicably considered hers, like the one in Kal Ho Na Ho. Her rivalry with Bipasha Basu deteriorated to the extent that she allegedly passed comments on Bipasha's complexion, calling her a Kali Billi. But for the most part, the most controversial thing that happened with Kareena was the advent of smartphones. Bollywood reacted to the invention of smartphone cameras as befitted a crowd of narcissists and began taping themselves in intimate moments. One of the videos that got leaked was of Shahid and Kareena making out. It got played on national TV, sentiments were outraged, the whole shebang, and Kareena simply said that it wasn't her. The whole thing was morphed, and she also condemned the video. As a strategy, it required a level of bravado and big brass balls, and Kareena had both to spare. She was Teflon until she married the Nawab. Look, when you're the queen bee, who is possibly good enough for you? A Nawab, of course, and one descended from the Tagores, no less. From the moment news broke that Kareena was dating Saif Ali Khan, the memes flew thick and fast. He was too old for her, she had attended the reception of his first marriage as a child, was she going to convert, etc. Once again, by simply existing, Kareena became the fulcrum for all of the anxieties and frustrations India was experiencing at the time. And when she had her first baby and named him Taimur in honor of a Patodi ancestor, all hell broke loose. They called her anti national, a traitor to her religion, and more. It didn't help that Taimur is blessed with some excellent genes and proved to be a most photogenic baby. To the baying crowd outside her garden, not only had Kareena had the bad taste to have an interfaith marriage, but she had been handsomely rewarded for it too. It was too much. A lesser person would probably have crumbled under that kind of hostile scrutiny over a private life experience. Their mental health would be in shambles. Kareena received it in a silence that seemed to say, of course you're mad. You're mad you can't be me. And then had a second son she named Jay, presumably short for Jahangir, one of the Mughal emperors. It is this quality of hers that positions her as the last of the Bollywood divas. She stands at the eye of the storm, and whatever her inner truth might be, appears untouched. She has the ability to take center stage as her authentic self, no matter how it is received. And a lot of times it is received poorly indeed. She is no stranger to online hate campaigns or political intimidation, threats of violence, or the shabby way Bollywood treats its women. And yet, 24 years after her debut in a film industry where the normal shelf life of an actress is indistinguishable from that of a fruit fly, Kareena became the highest tax paying female celebrity. That kind of longevity, that kind of hustle, that's what makes her the last of the Bollywood divas. If you enjoyed this essay, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It helps us grow and make more essays. This essay was made possible by our subscribers over at the Khandan Podcast Patreon, which you too can join for free. If you choose to upgrade from $1 onwards, your support allows us to create new content and you get a range of rewards from early access to merch. Follow us on Khandan Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you for listening. My name is Amrita, and this is Khandan, a Bollywood podcast.